Welcome back to Tightwad Workshop. I really like the size, shape and feel of a number 4 wood plane. This one's a Craft-Rite, made in India. This is a Carter, made in Australia. Anand, made in India. Acorn, made in England. Abor, made in Brazil. Another Carter, made in Australia. Gripwell, India. GTL, England. Marples, England. Falcon Pope, Australia. Rapier, England. Salmons, England. Stanley, England. Stanley, Australia. Stanley, England. Sturdy, made in India. Turner, made in Australia. USSR, made in the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Only a couple of my wood planes are precious to me. This one belonged to my father. And this number 5 Stanley belonged to my grandfather. I recently bought this matching pair of Bora planes from eBay. Bora planes are made in Brazil, so grande jola para todos os brasileiros que estáis tendo hoje. I've heard that Brazil looks like this every day of the year, so I don't know how you find the time to get any woodworking done. The number 5 plane's almost good enough to use right away, but this number 4 is very rusty and will need a lot of work. Let's start by disassembling the number 4 plane. First we'll remove the lever cap. I'll put the parts into this box as I remove them. Next we'll remove the lever cap screw. The rear surface of the blade is still shiny, that's a good sign. Let's remove the chip breaker screw and separate the parts. Next we need to undo these 2 screws to remove the frog. Now remove the blade adjuster nut. This has a left-handed thread, so you turn it clockwise to remove it. This nut's made from brass, which should look nice once it's polished. I'll leave the rest of the frog parts assembled for now. Now we can loosen the screws and remove the handles. That screw won't fall out, so I'll need something to poke it with. These handles are in good condition. They'll just need to be wiped clean with a wet cloth. Luckily this is just surface rust. There's no deep pitting or cratering of the metal. I'll disassemble the number 5 plane in the same way, then I'll see you outside. I'll use a wire brush to remove the dirt and most of the loose rust. Now I'll prepare the electrolysis tank. We'll start by filling it with clean water. Then add a few spoonfuls of washing soda. This is sodium carbonate, NaCO3. Stir until it's mostly dissolved. I still have a few lumps there, but they should be fine. I'll use these metal rods to suspend the parts in the tank. I'll make some hooks from this wire hanger. The plane body needs 2 hooks, one at each end. The other parts need 1 hook each. Don't let the parts bump into the 4 sacrificial anodes at the corners of the tank, because that'd cause a short circuit. The blade's too long to hang vertically, so I've made this special hook to hang it horizontally. Now we can connect the battery charger. The 4 sacrificial anodes are all connected together with these wires. Connect the positive wire to the sacrificial anodes. Connect the negative wire to one of the metal rods. The 2 metal rods are electrically connected by the 2 hooks in the plane body. Set the battery charger to 12 volts, then plug it in. That's now putting 3 amps of current through the tank. All the parts have bubbles forming on their surfaces, which shows that electrolysis process is working. I'll come back to this tomorrow. After 12 hours, there's now a layer of rust on the bottom of the tank. So I'll disconnect the power and remove the parts. I'll use the same set of hooks and put the number 5 plane's parts into the tank. Then reconnect the power to get it started. The parts just need to be scrubbed with a metal scouring pad, then wiped over with a cloth. Some areas are easier to reach with a wire brush. I used the garden hose to finish cleaning the body and the frog of the plane. Now I'll put it into the sun to dry. Hi, I'm JT. I'm the janitor here at Tightwad Workshop. Mr. Tightwad doesn't seem to be able to join us here today, so I guess it's up to me to finish this video. That top surface of the number 5 frog was painted, but it should have been bare metal. As you can see, the electrolysis removed all of the paint from the number 4 plane base. The number 5 base only lost a few small areas of paint. These bare metal areas on the top of the frog have a rough surface. They're supposed to be smooth so the blade will slide easily across it when you're using the adjuster controls. We'll have to remove this rivet so that we can sand the frog smooth. We'll also need to remove this rivet to remove the depth adjuster. The number 4 frog has the same problem with a rough surface, so we'll need to fix both of them. The number 4 lever cap lost some of its chrome plating due to the rust and electrolysis. The electrolysis removes the rust, but it leaves this shadow behind. I don't usually worry about that, but for these planes I'll polish the blades back to a shiny finish. I've already polished the number 4 blade on the right. You can really see the difference. Let's go visit the bench vise to dismantle these frogs. We'll need to file off this rivet first. Now we can use a punch to remove the rivet. This cast iron can crack easily, so I'll support both sides and tap gently. I'll remove this rivet by sawing off its end with a hacksaw. Then, using the punch and hammer, the same as before. Now we can use the sanding board from the Improved Wood Plane Setup and Tuning video to fix the frog. After a few minutes of sanding, the surface is nice and smooth. There are still a few low spots, but I'd have to take off too much metal to remove them all. The number 4 frog also has low spots, but in different locations. Now I'll flatten the side and bottom surfaces of the base. There are some scratches and chips at the top, but we'll fix those by polishing. A kit like this is a good way to get started with metal polishing. You can easily make the pads from old pieces of cloth and the spindle from a bolt. But for $10 I was able to get all that and the 3 cakes of buffing compound. We're going to use the buffer to polish the blade from the number 5 plane, and also its chip breaker. I'll need both hands free to hold the buffer in the drill, so I'll attach the blade to this piece of scrap wood. Fit the buffing pad into the drill chuck. Apply some coarse, black buffing compound. Then start polishing the blade. Next up, we'll switch to the medium pad and use the intermediate brown buffing compound. Then we'll finish with the large pad and the white polishing compound. Normally I clean metal parts with acetone before I paint them, but unfortunately the tin's empty. So we'll just use turpentine and hope for the best. I'll be using this oil-based Metal Care paint, which doesn't need a separate primer. Always stir the paint before using it. I'll use a small brush and apply 2 light coats of the paint. I'm using a small round brush to paint the tops of the frogs. I keep an old oven under my workbench for jobs like this that need relatively low-level heating. This came from a house demolition. Only one of its heating elements still works, but that's good enough for this purpose. Its fan still works, so it's ideal for quick drying paint on small parts like this. I'll just set that to 60C, that's 140F, for a few hours. So Mr. Tightwad can't be with us again today. Just between you and me, I don't think he respects you as an audience anymore. You. Yeah, don't run too far. I've got a little job for you later. We'll be right back. It's hard to get good help these days. And look, this is just wrong. I'll use this spare retractable knife blade to scrape the paint off the bare surfaces. The plane's frog rests on these 4 precision ground feet. The feet in turn rest on these pads on the base. I'll use a screwdriver to scratch the paint off the pads. Now we'll need to reassemble the frog. Since we filed it off, the old rivet's now too short, so we'll use this nail as the new rivet. We want the new rivet to be about 1 mm longer than the old one. I'll clamp this metal rod in the vise and use it as an anvil. Fit the rivet through the parts, then rest its head on the anvil. Use the ball end of the hammer and slowly tap the end of the rivet into a dome shape. Keep tapping until the lever's a nice firm fit. Now I'll saw a second nail to length and use it for the depth adjuster rivet. Now we can start with the number 5 plane reassembly. Start by refitting the depth adjustment wheel. The number 5 plane has this extra tab to hold the frog in position. The notch on that tab sits in the recess on this screw. Now we can attach the frog using its 2 screws. Reattach the front handle and the rear handle. Check that those handles are firmly attached. Add the lever cap pivot screw, put the cap iron back on the blade, then fit the blade assembly and lever cap, and it's time to test. I sharpened and honed both of the blades in the usual way. The number 4 plane worked well right away. After some adjustments to the cap iron, the number 5 also worked well. I almost forgot to paint the logo on the lever caps. That's much better. Only one thing left to do now. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Tightwad Workshop is filmed in front of a live studio audience. Oh, come on, man. Nobody does this anymore. I don't care. Do it, or you're off the team. That's enough. Leave plenty of room for the water. Now give it a good stir. Go ahead, in your own time. Well, at least I still have my dignity.